Aloha, everybody. It is 12. Excuse me. Good morning. It's 12:05, and we want to get this meeting started as close as we can to being on time. I have a couple of housekeeping announcements to make for everybody. As you're aware, there was a sewage leak a couple of weeks ago, and so we've had these two bathrooms down here, the men and women's bathrooms, closed for a couple of weeks. Because it's annual meeting, we asked that they bring out a couple of four porta potties. And so those 4 porta potties, if you haven't seen them, are in the main parking lot right over here against the trash enclosure. So if you need any, feel free to use those. There is water that's in them, so you can wash your hands. So we tried to make that to where it's fairly easy to use. Today, this is an age at which the concern for coronavirus and other things exist, and so as much as possible, we're going to recommend that we don't shake hands and hug unless you ask first. So do ask and listen for them to tell before you decide to give a hug. And then registration has already closed down at Connection Central. And I think those are the main things I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about. I do want to introduce 2 people. Steve Glenstein is our parliamentarian for today, and his partner is Karen Watson, and I don't know exactly where she... Oh, there she is. I'm sorry. She's right over here. So Steve is here, and Karen is there. Okay? So thank you guys so much for being here and helping us through this whole process. All righty. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Thomas Gallagher. I'm president of the board. And I want to call the meeting to order at this time. It is 12:07. If the minutes will reflect 12:07 as the call to order. Reverend Denise, would you be willing to do the opening prayer for us?
I would. So let us close our outer eye and take that holy breath. And we just invoke the presence of truth and love and beauty into this space. We know that each person that is here is meant to be here, and that we all are an expression of the divine. Thank you, Spirit, for your guidance of order and clarity and ease. And we allow the spirit of joy to fill each and every one of us as we move forward with the vision and mission of this ministry. Thank you, God, for this day, for these people, for this moment. In our annual meeting, we are blessed, grateful, and ready. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you so much. Chris, would you be willing to light the Christ candle, and I'll see if I can bring it around here. I don't think it made its way to the front here. Let me get it for you. So if all could rise for the lighting of the candle, and then we will do the mission and vision statements thereafter.
So let's take a moment just to center in together, connecting heart to heart. We invite and evoke the Spirit of Jesus Christ into this holy and sacred sanctuary. We know that this Spirit of Christ flows through each and every one of us. This Christ consciousness guides us in each and every moment. And we see and know that this Christ consciousness will flow within us and bless this meeting as we proceed. And for this, we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
If people would be willing to remain standing for just a moment, if that's okay, as we read through the mission and vision statements that are printed on the screen behind you, provided everybody can see through us. So the mission statement, transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. And then our vision statement, centered in God, we elevate global consciousness through the realization of oneness. Thank you very much. You may be seated. All right. In accordance with Article 3, Section 305C of the bylaws, electronic notice was sent to all members of record with an announcement on January the 25th, followed by the President's letter that included a packet delivery beginning February the 9th. Establishment of the quorum according to Article 3, Section 305 Delta D of the bylaws, a quorum shall exist when 20 members or 15% of the membership, whichever is greater, actually or electronically is present at the meeting. Reverend Margie or Kevin, can you tell us how many are currently active or currently present?
We have 60 voting members present. We meet quorum.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Therefore, quorum is established, so let the minutes reflect. The chair will now introduce the trustees serving on the board, and if those of you that are serving currently on the board will stand, I will say me first because I'm the president of the board, and my term ends this year in 2020. There is an empty seat that closes in 2022. Debbie Catania, her term ends this year. Jerry Denton is not here. His term will end in 2021. Jan Fitzgerald's term will end in 2021. Kathy Whitmire is not here. Ann Valerone was appointed by the board, and her term will end this year, but the term itself will end next year, so therefore it's a one-year position that gets filled this time. Christopher Vaughn was brought on last year, so his term will end in 2022. Ralph Whitaker likewise was brought on in last year, and his term will end in 2022. And I've already introduced Steve and Karen Watson to you. Thank you very much. Let's give a hand of applause to those that are on the board. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very much appreciated. In accordance with Article 7, Section 702, this meeting will be conducted using the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. In order to accomplish our business fairly, it is necessary to ask for your assistance in following the rules adopted by the membership during the 2016 meeting that were made available to you when you checked in. Everybody should have gotten a copy of those. If there is no objection, they will be adopted. Since there is no objection, the rules are adopted. Reading and approval of the minutes. Ralph, would you like to stand? The minutes of last year's annual meeting were mailed to all members. One Scribner error was noted for Ralph Whitaker. His name on the list was Richard Whitaker, so that one was changed, and the the minutes have been corrected. There was also an addition at the bottom of the minutes that read that there was some consternation, some issues that happened last year, and that there were a few people that asked to have the election audited. So that was added to the bottom of their. I think that's the only things that we found as we were doing. Are there any other corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as corrected. Appointment of tellers. As a board candidate, I will ask Reverend Margie Hyatt, as the chair of the election committee, to assist me during the next section of this meeting. Reverend Margie, would you please come to the other podium over here, and I'll let you have that one, please.
Volunteers have been selected to act as tellers for certifying any counted vote for the meeting. A teller is anybody counting or observing or collecting ballots today. Eligible members for this service cannot be candidates for the Board of Trustees. I wonder if the voting team would please come forward. That would be Alice Rogers, Joanne Adams, or just stand where you are, please. That will be fine. Alice Rogers, Joanne Adams, Linda Knox, Mary Paulson, Ricky Banning, Paula Norman, Jade Guess, Sue Bergman, and Judy Sweet. These people will be handling the ballots and observing the counting process later today. Would you all be seated? Thank you, yes. They've already given amazing service down at the check-in desk today. The teams will consist of 2 counters and 2 observers as we carry out the tally of the election later today. And the election chairs, Kevin Wallace, Jim Earhart, and myself, will also be observing. In the spirit of a renewed consciousness in this community, one of harmony, a cohesive community, and clarity, our election committee seeks to determine the will of this body today, so that this team that you've just been introduced to may focus itself without distraction on the important task we have at hand today. Unless there's an objection, we plan to retire to the back administration office so that we may work in a quiet, focused environment, allowing this team to do the important work of counting your votes.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, the venue is... I'm sorry, I missed.
Did I?
You said Joanne Adams.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
I meant Joanne Lewis.
Please accept our apologies.
Yes.
Thank you. So, was there another hand? Okay. Hearing no objections, the venue then is approved.
Thank you all for that.
The next item of business is the election of trustees.
Our bylaws call for a board composed of 9 individuals, and today there are 5 positions available on the board to be filled. You've met some of our board members already. The terms of Debbie Catania, Thomas Gallagher, and Kathy Whitmire are all expiring. There are 2 additional vacancies to fill, one left by the resignation of trustee Salim Ahmed, and 1 interim position currently held by Ann Valeron. Remaining on the board are Jerry Denton, Jan Fitzgerald, and Christopher Vaughn and Ralph Whitaker, who will be fulfilling the terms to which they were elected. According to Article 4, Section 4.04a, all individuals who seek to serve on the Board of Trustees must be a member of the Unity Church of Hawaii for at least 1 year, and shall be a person who meets these specifications. 1, a desire and has the time to serve on the Board of Trustees. 2, endeavors to live in accord with the principles of love and truth as taught by Unity. 3, demonstrates dedication to the ministry and mission through his or her active interest, regular attendance, love, financial support, and voluntary service. 4, is a sincere and continuing student of Unity, has taken classes in basic Unity principles, and is conversant with its teachings. And 5, has demonstrated leadership capabilities in the ministry's programs and activities. This list is right from our bylaws. Francine Cayona, chair of our nominating committee, is here to introduce the committee's nominations, after which the floor will also be open for further nominations.
Francine, would you please come forward? Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. Please locate the pink election ballot you received today. Do not begin marking your ballot until instructed, but if you could locate that ballot now. The nominating committee presents this slate of candidates for the election today: Debbie Catania, Thomas Gallagher, Richard Hughes, Rosie Kaiser, Latrice Mitchell-Campbell, Allison Peterson, and Ann Valeron. In a moment, we will accept additional nominations from the floor. Please note that any floor-nominated candidate who receives enough votes to be elected to the board will be subject to the same vetting process and requirements that the current candidates have fulfilled. Reverend Margie previously mentioned the qualifications when she read to you 4.4a.
Are there nominations for the floor? Since there are no further nominations from the floor, nominations are now closed.
Each candidate will introduce herself or himself as to why they want to be on the board. In accordance with the accepted rules, each candidate will be firmly limited to 1 minute.
You have now heard the complete candidate slate, and we're going to have people come up. You want to bring them up as a group? Please, if all of those, please come up to the front, and we'll go through these.
Debbie Catania, Thomas Gallagher, Richard Hughes, Rosie Kaiser, Latrice Mitchell-Campbell, Allison Peterson, and Ann Valeron.
Yeah, she's going to. Blessings to each of you. Okay.
Each candidate will introduce herself, himself, as to why they want to be on the board. In accordance with the accepted rules, each candidate will be firmly limited to 1 minute.
Aloha, my name's Debbie Catania. When I became a member 23 years ago, I knew that one day I would give back to this, my spiritual home. Once retired, it was time. Almost immediately after being elected to the board, I hit the ground running. I have served as secretary for my first 2 years and as treasurer this past year, 2 of the most work-intense positions on the board, and I continue to work to organize our records as well as improve the processes of maintaining our finances. And I've learned a lot. We have a vision on the board to help create board positions that can be filled by people who have jobs. I've learned that we all benefit from a board that's diverse. Diverse with the exuberance of youth, as well as the wisdom of maturity. Diverse in experiences, clerks and assistants, as well as managers and those who are self-employed.
Time's expired. time has expired. Thank you very much, Debbie. Appreciate that. If we do it in alphabetical order, I'll go next. So when I ran for the board 3 years ago, I mentioned that I had no personal reason, no personal gain or anything else and all I wanted to do in running for the board was to make sure that I was able to try to lead this congregation membership as God let me. Last night we had a blessing in this church. It was amazing. We cleaned, we smudged, we went throughout the whole area. And one of the comments that was made last night was that under the carpets in this sanctuary are notes from people that had written many, many years ago of what they wanted to have happen. When Ryan Souza came into this building, he took off his shoes. And we all then took off our shoes to be able to make sure that we realize this is hallowed ground. This is hallowed ground. And I just want to let everybody know that I promise that I will continue to do all I can do to be able to make sure that this board, this sanctuary, are in fact being keeping in that hallowed ground. Richard Hughes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yep, my name is Richard Hughes. I have served on the board previously. The reason for service this time is pretty much the same. I've been here about 19 years, and we've had a trend in the church, and unfortunately, we've been losing members as well as attendance. I crunched the numbers for attendance this last week, and we're about 38% less today than we were a year ago in attendance for church services. So I've got some insights into the results, and I'd really like to help out in that area. Let's go from contraction to expansion. We got some great programs here that I think will really help. And in one word, it's all about consciousness. We need a conscious leadership on the board as well as in the congregation. We've got the Q, the NVCCs, or compassionate communication, and many other things. So let's change that energy, and let's wow the world. We'll wow ourselves. The answers are right there.
Your minute's up.
It's the path. And I'd like to thank you for working together. We're all in the same boat. Let's make it happen.
Thank you very much, Richard. Appreciate it. Thank you. Rosie Kaiser. We've got a timekeeper up here that is keeping me on my toes and knocking me every once in a while. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rosie Kaiser, start the timer.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rosalie Kaiser. You can call me Rosie. We're friends. I stand here today as a candidate for the Board of Trustees because of all of you have inspired me to service. It has been your faith-driven work, support that is transforming this church community. I want to be part of that leadership that takes your faith and aspirations to this community to fruition. My philosophy is not to find fault, but to find solutions. If given the opportunity to serve on this Board of Trustees, I will listen and be proactive on your behalf, instituting unity principles, our mission for transforming lives and inspire people to make a difference, a positive difference in our community and in our world. Thank you.
Beautiful. 51 seconds. So far, she's the winner. All righty. Next.
Aloha, everyone. Aloha. My name is Latrice Marie Mitchell-Campbell, and I want to run for the board and become a board member because I want to continue my dedication to this community, to the culture of unity, and to my daughter, and to this ohana. It's important to serve and to be stewards of what we believe. So thank you for the opportunity, and choose wisely. Thank you.
I think we have a new winner. That was 47 seconds. Good job. Next, Allison Peterson.
Aloha, good morning. I'm Allison. Change can be scary and uncomfortable, but as we stand here on the threshold of the next exciting chapter for our church, I'm comforted by the words that someone once told me. He said, "It's okay, don't worry. We're keeping all the things that are beautiful and work and only letting go of the things that don't." Amen. Over the past year, I've experienced firsthand the rewards that a ministry-centric church can offer. Through active participation, I was blessed with healing, knowledge, inspiration, and connection. So I'm eager to assist our leadership in bringing about this transformation so together we all can benefit from this as a community. And I'm committed to doing this with enthusiasm, new ideas, transparency, integrity, competence, and empathy. And with love and fun, I entice you
Time's
to
up.
vote for me.
Thank you very much, Allison. I appreciate that. And last in the list is Anne Valeron. Start.
I've been on the board for the last 8 months, and one thing that Reverend Denise shared with us is that the work we are doing will go on to bless generations to come. And that's how I see this. This is a sacred service for the long-time success of this ministry. Debbie Catania, please stand. Thomas Gallagher, all three of us, along with the rest of the board, has received specialized leadership training from Reverend Denise. And we want to continue to build on this momentum that we're all co-creating together so that we can fulfill our purpose of being a blessing and a gift to our next senior minister. So we can be a blessing to this local community, this nation, and the world. Thank you for your work. Let's continue to rise up in Christ for the glory of God. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent job, everybody. You've now heard from a complete list of the candidates slate. Reverend Margie, will you now come forward and explain to us the election process? On page.
Another bylaw section. In accordance with Article 3, Section 3.05C and Section 3.05G, and Article 4, Section 4.04G, votes shall be cast in the election of trustees by ballot, including absentee and electronic, provided the absentee ballot was registered with the board secretary or designee, Kevin, myself, prior to the opening of the membership meeting. There are 5 trustees to be elected. Therefore, you may mark up to 5 X's on your ballot for the candidates of your choice. There is no cumulative voting. Therefore, do not make more than 1 X next to any candidate's name. That will simply be interpreted as 1 vote, 1 candidate. If you mark more than 5 X's total for more than 5 names, or mark more than 1 X for any individual candidate, your ballot may be void. Is there anyone who needs further clarification of the ballot procedure for your pink, my blank sheet, your pink ballot? Any other questions? Do you need writing utensils? If so, we have them and can pass out pencils. If you still have any questions about marking your ballot, please check with us before you turn it in so that we can help answer your question and you can cast your ballot as you choose. So I want to ensure that everyone is completed voting before we move to collecting the ballots. And please follow the instructions you're about to hear as well as see on the screen. When our tellers come to collect, they wish to collect the ballot from you specifically. Your ballot should not be passed through anyone else's hands. It should go directly into the bowl. So do not pass your ballots down the aisle thinking that's helping us. The teller will come pick up your ballot individually. So could I have 4 tellers? Joanne Lewis and Ricky Banning, Paula, Norman, and Mary Paulson, or the first four I see. Would you collect offering bowls at the back? Oh, okay.
We do have one question. My
Please.
leprechaun up here is...
Yes, pen is fine. Yeah, would at least one of you go to the back and collect the bowls? Yeah. Any other questions about voting? Yes, Bev.
Just a second. 1 second, please. 1 second, 1 second. We just need to make sure everybody can hear.
They took your white ballot, yes? Yes. Then you have already cast your vote by absentee ballot. You either vote on the white forms, which is an absentee ballot, or you will vote in the chapel with a colored ballot. One or the other. Thank you, Bev. We have yours in custody. I happen to know. In custody.
Jeff?
Safe. Under lock and key.
Could somebody be a runner for us, please? No. Yeah. We're only
yes,
doing...
the pink ballot only.
In 1 second, you will get the rest of the instruction. Go ahead, Margie.
Yeah. Joanne? You know, fold for privacy if you wish.
It
Your
doesn't
team
matter.
has no preference. Linda? If you're voting with a colored envelope, a colored ballot, the pink ballot, the envelope is null, no use, not applicable. I would prefer you not put the colored ballot in an envelope. In a moment, they will follow instructions.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we have sufficient runners. Thank you, Marcia. I appreciate your volunteering. Has everybody completed their ballot? Are there any further questions? So, tellers, would you please come to the center aisle and position yourselves as a quadrant so that you can sort of pay attention to how many rows have been covered. So 2 at the front corner, 2 at the middle of the aisle halfway back. And you will be paying attention to 1/4 of the room. That's good, Paula, right there. Is everybody ready to hand in their ballot? Is anybody not ready to hand in their ballot? Tellers, would you please collect the ballots from each individual separately? Thank you.
And those that are online, the online ballot is officially open, so you can click that link. That is right. You have to be on the homepage, unityhawaii.org, in order to be able to vote, because you can't do it from YouTube. And so you'll see the link that says online ballot for Board of Trustees. Click that link. It is now available to you for the next 5 minutes. Thank you.
So save your green ballot for a later moment.
It appears to me that everybody is so. I'm sorry, can you hear me a little bit? Could you give me there? We'll just turn this around a little bit. Have all voted who desire to do so? Seeing none, the voting, the process is now closed for the elections. If there is no objection, we will continue our business. Oops, I'm sorry. One other thing. So we're ready to do the.
Leave them here in case we need them again.
I think we can. So the second thing that we've got. So if the tellers would go, and then what we'll do is we will call somebody to come back in if we need to. With regard, actually, we probably will need to. So. Yes. Okay. There's a question from the parliamentarian as to whether people want to have a recess for a moment or if you want to continue moving. Okay, we will continue moving. Yeah. All right. So the next question that is there is with regards to the amendments to the bylaws. Okay. If if there's no objections, we will continue this part of the business while those are being counted. Since there's no objection, the meeting will continue. So the next thing that is on the list is your other. One moment, please. Okay. Did you have a question, Linda? The bylaws piece, is that what you're asking about? That's what we're getting ready to start on. Parliamentarian? It actually doesn't say that in the bylaws any place. And it's only been the last 2 years that we've done it that way. But before you came in, there was a asking if anybody was okay, if there was a problem with having them counted elsewhere. No one objected to that, so it was approved. The congregation, this collective body, were the ones, and if you were not here in attendance when the question was asked, I'm sorry, but this collective body has already approved the counting of the ballots in the back room. Okay, so according to Article 8, Section 801 of the bylaws, amendments to the bylaws must be made by voting members of the corporation at a legally constituted membership meeting. An affirmative vote of 75% of all members present and voting shall be necessary to pass any revision to these bylaws. There are 2 amendments to be considered as outlined on your ballot, with rationale on the back side of the ballot as to why those changes are being requested. The chair will now entertain a motion to adopt the first amendment, which is changing the date of renewal from December the 31st to September the 30th. So moved by Howard Wigg. Do I have a second? Second by Ralph Whitaker. Discussion? Yes, Jeff. One sec, please.
Do I need to repeat that for anybody?
Please.
All right, considering that we vote here in March, it seems way too early to cut off membership renewal date on the 30th of September. If they want to conduct membership renewal on the 30th of September, no problem. I think that's a good idea if it's convenient at all. But I think cutting off membership by the 30th of September just doesn't work for the church because we don't vote until the 1st of March. I don't know who came up with this idea.
Thank you. Other comments? Linda?
I agree with that. I mean, we're supposed to be looking for memberships, not throwing roadblocks. I was wondering, this says prescribed by the Board of Trustees. Does the bylaws already have that wordage in there? In a manner, okay, membership must be renewed annually by September 30th or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. In a manner prescribed by the Board of Trustees. Does it already say by the Board of Trustees in the bylaws?
Yes, it does. The only thing that is changed in it is the date from December 31 to September 30.
Thank you.
That is the request. Any other discussion? Allison?
What would happen to someone who started coming to the congregation after September 30th and wanted to become a member? And they fulfilled all of the requirements and was able to fulfill that before election on March 1st. Would they then be eligible, or did they have to be a member by September 30th?
Yes. So the answer to that question is this has to deal with only with the renewal process, and so to be able to vote, you have to have become a member at the time of the annual meeting.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't change that part. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Diana Thomas. And,
Thank you.
I'm wondering, it says here that one consideration to change it to September 30th is because the staff, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Staff and other people who are working on the membership list find it hard to meet the deadline.
Yeah,
To mail out, to get the list ready or whatever.
The difficulty that exists for the staff is that we've got Christmas, we've got all kinds of stuff that's going on during that last 3 months of the year. And if they could get the annual renewal piece done as much as possible prior to that, it would help them so that they don't feel as swamped. I think you guys probably noticed that today we're trying our best to be as inclusive and as trusting as we can be. And what we've done today is that if people come up and say that they're a member, and if we can kind of verify that, we're trying to make sure that it all happens. And as we continue to move into trust, and as we continue to move into harmony and working together, we will continue that. This is really just to be able to make it to where the majority of people are doing it by September instead of doing it at the very end of the year where people are having a hard time staff-wise of getting everything done.
So, I'm sorry, what is the difficulty in getting the list prepared?
Well, it's not the difficulty of getting the list prepared. It's when people are coming in at the end of December saying, I want to renew, and they've got other things that they're trying to do of getting Christmas services put together the night before, everything else, and then trying to also start working on the election procedures.
People forget to renew at the end of the year. They're very conscious in September about.
Okay, let me just give a straight answer right here. During the month of December, we have people who are on vacation, and we have both members and the board and the staff, because it's, people, our volunteers are the ones that are assisting. We are finding that it actually pushes us too close to the annual membership meeting to continue on updating the membership list, because we have people who are renewing in January now, or late January, early February, whereas before we never ran into these problems. And so we're saying we want to go back to the way it used to be of September 30th. It makes it easier for you. It makes it easier for us. And then we're not panicking right up into the annual meeting, trying to get the annual meeting list or membership list completed. So we do it now, like days before the annual meeting, and before it would be months ready. So it just helps out on every aspect. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarity with that. Reverend Denise was saying it's more efficient. Any other discussion? Seeing none, what I'm going to ask people to do is all in favor, I'm going to ask that you stand. And then I'm going to ask that you count off as you sit down. I'm sorry, Sally, did you have a question? Correct. So
we voted by absentee ballot. Should we stand and vote now, or okay. I thought there was a ballot for this.
So what we will do was go ahead and mark. We were going to see if we could get the total number of what already had voted, but because we really can't do that, we will now do the very same thing with regards to these ballots. And so if everybody will take I think it's green, correct? If everybody will take their green ballot out, and I'll see if I can remember how this whole thing reads. If everybody will mark their ballot at the present time. Oh, you know what? My apologies. That's the reason. The reason that we did this one is that the procedures in the bylaws amendment says amendments to the bylaws must be made by voting members of the corporation at a legally constituted membership meeting. An affirmative vote of 75% of all members present and voting shall be necessary to pass any revisions to these bylaws. So therefore, This one is one that you've got to be present and voting. Is that? Is there any objection to that? Is there any objection to amending the bylaw? Okay. So the question, the comment that was made was with regards to if there are no objections by the people that are here, then we can go ahead. If there are objections, then we have to go to a ballot. Howard?
Question, what do we do about the quorum only slot there?
So the quorum only is on there is if you don't have a feeling of wanting to vote yes or no, but you still want your ballot to be shown as meeting the quorum, then you mark it and it won't count as a positive, as a yes or as a no. I think probably what we should do at this point is just continue with the ballot. So if everybody will mark their ballots, either whether you're in favor of this one or opposed to this one. Well, what will end up happening is they'll all go back and they'll be counted with the absent. Oh, the absentee we can't count anyhow? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, the bylaws are worded that the absentee ballots don't count. Okay. So if, Linda. I think there is because we already had people. So are there any objections to the bylaw amendment of changing from December the 7th to September? December the 31st to September the 30th. Are there any objections? I see objections. So then we go to a ballot. So now we will go to your green ballot, and please mark on there whether you're in favor of or opposed to changing from December to September.
Those of us who voted by absentee ballot do not have a green ballot to count to put in today. So if you're not going to count the green ballots that we sent in, we need to get a green ballot so we can vote now.
Thank you.
I thought there might have been a decision earlier that present for purposes of absentee ballots counted as being present, but maybe not. But if not, then we need to be able to vote today.
Right. Your bylaws under bylaw amendments basically require that the amendments may be made by voting members of this corporation at a legally constituted membership meeting. It needs 75% of all members present and voting. The other section of your bylaws that provides for an election provides for absentee, which you've been doing. This does not. This particular part does not. So I advise the chair. So now you have a couple of options. If you've checked in and not gotten a ballot for the bylaw amendment, that means that we really can't use those bylaws because they would be mixing with bylaws from absentee. So the chair tried the nice we love each other way. If there's no objection, the amendment will be adopted, striking out December 31st and inserting September 30th. But it appears there was an objection. So since there was an objection, he needs a process to fairly count to know what you as the organization want to do. So he could have you, if everybody here is a member, a voting member, he could have you stand up and he could ask those in favor, please stand up. And then we can count off that, have them sit down. Those opposed, stand up, count off, and have them sit down. And members, please don't stand, or non-members, please do not stand up at all. And then we work off of that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so right now yes, Charlie. Microphone.
Thank you. Regarding the 75, whatever it was, quorum, was it 75%?
Not for quorum. To be able to amend the bylaws is 75%.
Thank you.
Of those present and voting in the this
present, because I was going to ask whether the online voters or registered voters online figure in that. And by the way, how many voters are registered online?
Can you tell us how many? 7 people are online vote. And do I... So this is not a parliamentary question according to our parliamentarian. It's a legal question as to what it does. I know that in the verbiage of what we've got, we have got some information about being able to vote online. So the quorum does include those that are electronically present. So therefore, those that are electronically present can vote. So what we would need to do is have those that are online vote yes or no, so that they will come in and only do it for just the first one of the changing from December to September. That will be in here, and then we'll add it to whatever we've got from the membership. Okay? So all of those... All we want is for the people that are voting online to vote yes or no for Amendment 1, which is changing the date from December to September. We do need to finish the motion that's there. What we could do is, like we've got, this is all going to, no, it's not. So you know who all is online, is that right? Okay. The question was, can you send a query to the 8 people that are online asking whether Amendment 1 is a yes or a no, and then in a moment we'll ask about Amendment 2, whether it's a yes or no. Okay. We will count these. We're not going to get to the results of what we've got and for a little bit. That's going to come at the end of the meeting when we do that part anyhow. So we've got some time to be able to get the numbers from the online. We're working that one out right now as to whether she on. Yeah. So if you if you could send an email, all of you that are online that are voting, if you could send a either in favor of or oppose to Amendment 1 changing December to September, and send it to info@unity.org. unityhawaii.org. unityhawaii.org. Then we will have those numbers to be able to add to the numbers that we've got from here. Further, Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Okay, I would highly recommend that we use paper ballots today, presently in the room. And the reason for that is that anybody that received their green ballot today has been vetted. And I've also noticed that there's some white ballots out here also that are the absentee ballots that have not been turned in. So the first part is the vetting. We're a mix of members and non-members. I highly recommend that you use the paper ballot for vetting purposes. Okay, that would confirm that. The secondary question is if someone has a white ballot for the amendments, do they need to pick up a green ballot now, or can they use the one that they did not submit via mail? Is a white ballot as good as a green ballot?
There will be no white ballots that are currently in this room. All of the white ballots are back in the back. But I guess the question that comes up is that we need to make sure that all of us that are present in the room and vote and have the ability to vote have got a ballot now, because we will then destroy all of the ballots that are in the back because they can't vote.
So
use of that is suspended in this room. We won't collect any white ballots. Oh, yes, both questions are on one ballot. There's some of us that voted absentee, and so we don't have a green. No, they don't need it because they've already voted. No, because those don't count. For amendments, because you have to be present and voting, according to the bylaws. I know, I can tell you who voted absentee, and if they're in the call the absentee ballots and the absentee votes. Okay, so what's going to happen at this point is that Margie is going to go through the absentee ballots and will hand to those that turned in an absentee ballot for the voting on the amendments to the bylaws a green ballot to be able to vote on. Okay, is everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah, thank you, Thomas.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we can't have anybody leave the room until we have got that process of passing them out. Linda Wong?
White ballot. A member has a white ballot that they'll need to exchange for a green ballot because they didn't get a green ballot and they were only given their white ballot for this meeting.
Yeah, there are to be no white ballots in this room.
There's one.
Well, we're not using them. They're void.
So she's a member, so she needs to get a green ballot for this white ballot.
She will get one if her ballot is in the back. Because at this point, no ballots that are in here that are white are valid.
But it's the people.
That's the way the rules go.
But the people that passed out the ballots are the ones that did this.
That's why everybody's asked to register. Yeah. Everybody's asked to
So green ballots, Margie went back to grab those. Is that right? Okay. So
it's a process error.
Let me go through the process one more time, and make sure that you listen carefully, and please don't interrupt me. At this point, what will happen is that Margie is going to the back. She is grabbing up all of the absentee ballots. If your name is on one of the absentee ballots, you will be given a green piece of paper to vote on. If your name is not on one of the absentee ballots in the back, you will not be given any ballot. So the white ballot that is in here is void already, and so only the people that have got an absentee ballot in the back and are in this room will be given a green ballot. We will then count the green ballots. Is that completely understood? Yes, that's what the parliamentarian said. Yes. So the white absentee ballots are void already anyhow because you can't have one. Because we misread that part. That's an error on the election committee piece. So anyway. So, Bev, could I, is it you that we're talking about that had a white ballot? The issue that exists is that if you have got a white ballot, if you have a white ballot, the white ballots are void inside this sanctuary period. Because you had to turn in your white ballot down there before the meeting started in order to be able to get a green ballot for voting in here. And so that's the way those go. And so, Bev, I'm really sorry. I don't know how to fix that one. It's just...
So my announcement.
You know, no, okay.
Okay, Richard, thank you for bringing clarity to this. So here's the deal. you are going to have to go through the initial that you receive this ballot again. So what I'm looking for is anybody that voted absentee and now wants to vote for the bylaws changes here in the room. You need to receive a green ballot. So Steve says if you'll come line up here so that I can confirm you and you can initial here at the lectern, I will put a green ballot in your hands.
Margie, thank you very much. Thank you guys very much. And thank you for your patience with this and working with us. So yes, if you turned in an absentee ballot, come around. Margie will make sure that you are on the absentee ballot list. And then you can vote on that green ballot. And we have to make sure that nobody leaves the room now, because if you leave the room at this point, it changes everything because the quorum changes. And so we have to make sure that this is all done.
Hey, candles over there. like to hear Reverend Denise's Maya Angelou poem that she wanted you to hear last week.
It was Maya's poem on I Shall Rise, I think, or Still I Rise. Still I Rise, yeah. Still I Rise, yeah. Yeah, remember that? It's either chocolate or brownies or wet rocks.
You write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my say? You write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies.
We're getting feedback from somewhere. Is that possible to get the... All righty. I think we're about there. Thank you guys so much for your patience, for your ability to stay here with us. Is that it's getting there? Thank you guys so much. And I apologize for the issue that arose there. It was lack of being able to look at all of the bylaws appropriately. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. So I need to also... Yes, you can collect them in the back. So the one thing that will happen is, if everybody could quit trying to tell me what to say for just a moment, thank you. Okay. I just want everybody to hang in here with us for just a moment, please. So what we're going to end up doing right now is Margie will go back to the back, because there are tellers back there that may have turned their ballots in as absentees as well. She will give those people that are absentee ballots a ballot as well. Okay, so again, we will only accept the green ballots. So right now you're marking the first amendment as to whether you're willing, whether you agree with changing it from December to September. And I have any other further discussion? Hearing none, we're through with that one. So the next one that we've got, the chair entertains a second motion to accept the amendment of the bylaws to elect 2 alternates to the nominations committee. So moved by Howard Wigg and seconded by Sally Hartman. Discussion? Seeing none, I would ask you to make your marks on that one. So if we could have those that are doing by absentee ballots to also email, those that are doing online voting, if you will send a message to the very same one that you sent a minute ago to info@unityhawaii.org as to whether you favor or oppose the Amendment 2. So everybody has got your green ballot. Everybody has marked both Amendment 1 as either on favor of, opposed to, or for quorum purposes only. Okay, so let's have them turned in, and if I could get somebody to help collect those, make sure you turn in your ballot into the person. Don't pass them to the middle or anyplace else. They will come by and pick them all up one at a time. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your patience, your endurance with me in this whole process. It's okay. No, we're going to do all of the business before we. Oh God, we've got all of the reports, everything else. No, there's a job. No, we've got about an hour for business meeting now. It's not in the reports, right? Correct. Are there other ballots that need to be collected? I've got one up here from me. And then if you can make sure that everybody in the back gets a chance to vote if they turned in their absentee, and that all should have already been done. No. I think that it will have. Oh, no, this is a different thing. This is completely different. I'm sorry. Yes, that's going to happen after we get all the things back. Correct. Thank you. Would somebody like to accompany these ballots to the back just so that make sure that we're okay? Thank you, Howard. Appreciate it. Exactly. All right. So now that the voting and all is done, I've got a question of the membership. Would you like a recess for a moment, or would you want me to keep moving? I hear keep moving, so we're going to keep moving. All righty. So we will go through the other parts of the business meeting at the present time. And so if we could go to the next slide. Next slide. Yes, next slide. Yes, next slide. So I want to introduce everybody to while they're counting in the back, I'm going to do a soft shoe. I'm going to kind of keep you guys entertained. If I can try to keep you guys somewhat entertained over the course of the next 30 minutes to an hour, probably a little bit more than that, to give you some information. So Unity Church of Hawaii has got a number of both standing as well as ad hoc committees, and I think it's important that the membership realize all of the people that are so dedicated and spend so much time on all of these. The facilities, finance, fundraising, membership, policy, and strategic planning are the standing committees. The ad hoc committees are bylaws, election, sacred, safety, and Unity School. So facilities. The members that are on the facilities, next slide, include Lisa Inslee, Bruce Hymack, Reverend Johanna Kelly, Mary Paulson, Sean Sweet, Christopher Vaughn, Ralph Whitaker. Thank you guys so very, very much for all of the work that gets done. Bruce, were you or Mary going to give a quick presentation on facilities? So I think you got a job. So if you'll come up here to the front, I'll give you a mic and you can give us a quick. So we're going to try to make most of these reports end up a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes at most, so that we can try to keep things moving.
Hello, I'm Bruce Hymack. I'm on the Facilities Committee, and I've been involved in renovations, construction, and all things on this campus since 2015. Okay, as you can see now, we're having our beautiful security fence installed all around the campus, and that's going to protect the Kiki. Pardon? Who said why? Why? Security. And the problem that we're having currently is the plumbing. But however, I just found out that the plumbing is corrected, so it all works, but you just can't use it because the bathrooms down there have been contaminated. So there has to be a cleanup process before we can allow anybody to use them. There was actual flooding; it absorbed into the sheetrock, so it's going to be extensive, to say the least. But other than that, that's up to date what I know. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your report. And yes, what will be happening in the next few weeks is cutting 2 feet up, making sure that all of the drywall that's above that is clean, and then that will be put back in, and we'll have them done. And hopefully, we don't know exactly how long it will take, but we have to put the mitigation and half of the deposit down for the other. So as soon as we get that all done, we will try to keep moving. We can ask questions at the very end of the president's report. So finance. Those that are on the finance committee include Bonita, Debbie Catania, I'm sorry, I always try to do that one. Jerry Denton, me, Michael Hamnett, and Reverend Johanna Kelly. Let's have a round of applause for them. Debbie, you were going to include this report in the treasurer's report? Okay. Fundraising. So the people that are on the fundraising committee include, you can come on up, Sue Bergman, Catherine Burton, Debbie Catania, Reverend Johanna Kelly, Faith Rivera, Kevin Wallace. And we'll have a quick report from Catherine on that.
Welcome. I'd like to share with you first the purpose of the fundraising committee, which the fundraising committee is a Board of Trustees standing committee established to support the Board of Trustees in planning for fundraising for both specific projects and the ongoing financial needs of the ministry, to include annual or biannual events. The committee is responsible for developing and presenting recommendations to the Board of Trustees for such activities and events to support the goals, activities, and mission of Unity Church of Hawaii. And what I would like to say is that we have a wonderful team that came up with many wonderful ideas, which will totally serve community building for the next, I don't know how many years. It was just wonderful, so much fun. But with each meeting, we got clearer in consciousness on the real essence and spirituality of fundraising. And so in the end, the guidance for this year's fundraising was actually found in the wisdom of Jesus' teachings, which occur at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, when he says, ask and it will be given. You don't need to entertain. You don't need to sell anything. Ask and it will be given. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door will be open. And so the Cornerstone members were asked and just graciously donated or pledged $50,000 for a matching fund. Wow, God. Wow. Ask and it was given. Now, seek and ye shall find. Well, what were we seeking? Well, I realized at Unity, there's only one answer to what and who you seek, the Christ within. And so we began to seek the Christ within, which operates by the law of love, commandments, and the law of nonviolence. Well, all of us took the courses, took how many times, and we could feel the Christ in us. We could feel, and that Christ is the pearl without price, of great price that cost you a lot. And so we found the Christ. Knock, and it shall be opened. And we're knocking on heaven's door, and heaven is in our heart. And that door was opened by the congregation, who matched dollar for dollar the $50,000. $100,000 was raised. Finally, I want to thank everybody who has contributed to help bringing heaven on earth here at Unity Church of Hawaii. So on behalf of the fundraising committee, thank you all.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. All righty. Next slide. So membership, the members that are on the membership committee include Bonita, Debbie Catania, Reverend Margie Hyatt, Reverend Johanna Kelly, and Kevin Wallace. And thank you. I think almost everybody on the membership committee is now in the back room, and so Did Reverend Margie, would you like to would you like to give anything on the membership? Would you like to give a...
We had a great group of people working on membership renewal. And for me, the thing that stands out is absolutely no member's packet got returned by the post office. Wow. So thank you for your renewal work and for the great team that made that possible.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Next slide. Next slide has to do with the policy committee. Jan Fitzgerald, Reverend Johanna Kelly, and Valerone Christopher Vaughn are on that one. And I believe, thank you. Thank you very much. And I believe Jan is going to give us an update on that one.
Okay, this year the policy committee charter was adopted by the board. Our current task is to locate all policies that have been passed by the board and put them in one place, which will be in a notebook behind the receptionist's desk in the office. So anyone can look at them anytime they want to. Then we will consider whether any policies need revision and identify any areas where policies are needed but do not exist. The committee currently consists of 3 board members and the church administrator, because these are the people who have volunteered. We would love to have more input from the congregation. It is not necessary to be a member of the church to participate on the committee. And you may have noticed, as we were going through the names of the people on committees, how often the same names keep showing up. Many hands make light work. We would like more help. Thank you. We recognize that we have passed policies that are actually procedures and are in the process of revising or eliminating such policies. A new election procedures policy was established to replace the standard election procedures policy, and the standard election procedures were given to the election committee for its use. A policy regarding communications using the membership list was established to ensure that it is clear who these communications are from and that they are not from the church. The disruptive behaviors section of the general campus policy has been adopted as the disruptive behaviors policy. Work still needs to be done on the general campus parts of the policy. Anyone who would like to join the policy committee can speak to me, Ann Valeron, Christopher Vaughn, or any member of the board, or Johanna, Thank you.
Beautiful. Jan, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm going to skip ahead a couple of slides because Margie is here, and we're going to run into the election committee. So, Margie, would you like to update us on that one? So the people that are on the, somehow it got ahead of me. The election committee are Jim Earhart, Reverend Margie, Kevin, and Ralph.
So we had a wealth of resource from the people who have managed the election for the past, I think it was 3, maybe even 4 years. We took all of that process and procedure information, and our goal, we hoped, was to distill it down to a simplified, yet effective, and secure voting procedure that is taking place today. I would welcome your feedback because our goal is to just continue to improve how we do this. So I thank those team members who, Kevin Wallace particularly, just has put in hours with all of us as we sat and pored over those past reports and made use of what has happened in the past. So thank you for a strong history to build on. And thank you all for any patience that was exhibited today and your willingness to stand in line and muddle through the process with us. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Margie. Okay, I'm going to run back a couple of slides. So in the ad hoc group, strategic planning, so the people that are on the strategic planning committee included Jerry Denton, Richard Hughes, Kathy Kaiser, Reverend Johanna, and Rodney Leong. And Richard, were you going to? Thank you. Yes, hand of applause for all and Richard.
Okay, so Jerry is traveling, so he couldn't give the report himself. He's actually the chair of the Strategic Planning Committee. And this is kind of an overall committee that really does planning in a basic, big picture kind of a way, both spiritually and organizationally. It helps provide or set a course or direction for the church. And it really, I think, is an important part of the church. It's also a think tank. So in setting that course, we're looking for creative ideas and helpful talents. And if anyone at all is interested in joining the committee, that'd be great. Just contact Jerry or any board member. It's approved by the board, so get your name in by the next board meeting. And the other thing is that these meetings are open. You don't have to be a member to attend the meeting. Listen in, be informed, and I think it's a really important part of this community. And the first thing we're going to be doing is writing a charter, and that's ground level. So if you guys are interested, come on over. And thank you for your interest and sharing your manao. Mahalo.
Thank you very much, Richard. Appreciate that, buddy. Excellent. Next committee that we wanted to run through is a bylaws committee. And as you can see, there's a number of names that are on there. And I think that Sally was going to present that one. And if you can use that one, that'd be great. So the people that are on that committee are Debbie, me, Sally, Richard Hughes, Francine, Johanna, Reverend Jack. I'm sorry, not Reverend Jack. Jack Randall. Excuse me. And Valerone. I just bumped you right on up there. And Valerone and Howard Wood.
Actually,
the wise one.
Actually, one amendment. Ann Valerone resigned after she became a member of the board because she was otherwise occupied with many, many things. So it's everyone there except for Ann. I'm Sally Hartman. As you know, you voted on only 2 bylaw changes proposed today, which may suggest that the bylaw committee didn't do very much this year. Actually, last summer, we started a very comprehensive review of every single bylaw and looking at everything that anyone proposed and also recommendations that the church attorney had made. We were making a lot of progress in that, although with still a lot of work to be done. And then in early August, Unity Worldwide Ministries informed us that they were hoping to and intending to have all Unity churches use the same set of bylaws, and they sent a template of those bylaws. And we had a month to comment on those. So we spent a very busy month doing very substantial comments on those bylaws, both ones we thought would benefit all Unity churches and ones that we brought attention to things that may be particular to our church. And we were waiting. Then we decided to wait to see a revised template to work on that. We were recently informed that they're not going to send a revised template now. They still hope to, probably by 2023, have sort of common denominator bylaws. So we're going to resume our work and look at everything in our current ones and try to adjust it to be in alignment with the structure and what we can adopt of their template they sent us in August. We've already done a lot of that work, but there's a lot of melding and going through the rest. So probably we will be asking UWM to approve bylaw changes, which we now need to do. So the process will be that the committee will do the work. There will be substantial, probably revisions. The board will have to approve or not approve them, then go to UWM for approval, and then be presented to the members at a meeting where only those present can vote, and we'll need 75% approval. So it's a very high bar for bylaw changes. It's difficult because, it's like going to the dentist. Who wants to read all this little fine stuff, especially when there are going to be a lot of them. But we will be asking you as good members to do that work at some future time. Maybe we'll even have a special meeting for it so it isn't part of the annual meeting. So that's what's happening. We'll continue our work. And if you have any suggestions about things that you like in the bylaws, things you would like deleted, changes of language, we're looking at everything. So we'd love to hear from you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Sally. Very articulately spoken, very nicely done. Very good. We have added a new ad hoc committee called the Sacred Safety Committee that kind of came up from a variety of things, to include even with the shooter that was in the neighborhood a few months ago, but also with regards to the things that are going on with the preschool. The people that have signed up for this one is extensive. And as you can see on here, we've got expertise from a variety of places. Ricky Banning, Jerry Denton is going to do it as a consultant, as is Mary Paulson, Debbie Catania, Reverend Margie, Kathy Kaiser, Rosie Kaiser, Sean Sweet, Christopher Vaughn, Ralph Whitaker, and then we've got two alternates of Reverend Levitt and Howard. Thank you very much for starting that one up. So yes, very much so. Christopher, would you like to give us an update as to where things are? I know that it's just getting started, but...
So one of the things I wanted to let everyone know is Unity Worldwide Ministries' stance on security, which they talk about sacred safety. What we say is that we're not coming from a place of fear, but we're coming from a place of preparedness, just as you have fire drills and fire extinguishers, just to be prepared. So that's kind of what this is, and we're going to be working with local agencies and federal agencies, to find out what the recommendations are. Many of them will come in and do presentations, and then we simply make recommendations to the Board of Trustees for approval. So this committee's just recently been formed, and I think we'll probably, within the next 2 or 3 weeks, be moving into starting up the committee and proposing a meeting time. So that's kind of where we're at with it.
Beautiful.
So, yeah,
Beautiful. Christopher, thank you very much. We have two other committees, Unity Preschool or Unity School Committee, that has been working diligently and repairing some bridges with the preschool, and that is going extremely, extremely well. The two parents that are on those are number one, Natalie Chan, and then if you drop down to the next to the bottom, Kesley Hui. In addition to that, Jerry Denton and Jan Fitzgerald are the ones that are primarily doing most of the work with the preschool. Sergio Golisa, of course, from the school, Reverend Johanna, and Joanne Lewis. And am I right? Jan is going to present on that one.
Okay, so the school committee was formed a little over a year ago to address the greatly deteriorated relationship between the church and Unity School. We've been meeting on a monthly basis since then. The school committee charter has been adopted by the board. Our purpose is to improve communications between the church and the school and thereby improve the church's relationship with the school. The committee currently includes representatives of the church, the school administration, and parents of the students. We feel we've been successful in improving communication and our relationships. We were happy to hear at our most recent meeting that parents had approached the parent representatives with concerns that they wanted the committee to be aware of. Safety and security have been a major concern, with some people using the campus as a place to sleep and clean themselves, as well as the board addressing several specific disruptive behavior issues. With the resolution of those past issues and the addition of the new gates and fencing, which the school is providing, things are much improved, but more work is needed. The Sacred Safety Committee's whole campus plan will, of course, include the school. The committee is continuing to work on creating a written document defining the relationship between the church and the school and formalizing the areas of responsibility of each. For anyone who's not clear about this, Unity School is part of the church. The director of the school is hired by and reports to the lead minister, much like the rest of the church administration. And the director has full responsibility for the school's operations. The school's philosophy and teaching methods are in alignment with Unity principles, although the school does not directly teach Unity principles to the children. We on the committee are very proud to have one of Honolulu's best preschools as part of our organization and hope to foster awareness of this tremendous asset within the congregation.
Amen. Thank you, Jan. It was amazing. One of the comments that Kesley made that came out of the last meeting that we had, he said, a lot of us go to Iolani, a lot of us go to other schools, but the kids that know each other the best and that function as a unit the best are the kids that came through Unity School. Said it's just amazing. And they're the best of buddies and the best of friends when they graduate. They're all hanging around with one another. So it's a huge testament to our school, a huge testament, and how many of our parents end up bringing their kids here. The next slide is with regards to nominations, and I think the people that are on that are Cynthia, Francine, Reverend Denise, and Christopher, and I think we have, keep your fingers crossed, a video from Cynthia on this one.
Good and glorious Sunday, Unity Church of Hawaii, and aloha from Alaska. It was my deepest intent to be with you this exciting election day. However, I'm needed here in Alaska to continue supporting and caring for my mom, who had hip replacement surgery just recently. As I know Spirit is vitally alive in her continued healing, I also know Spirit is vitally alive in each one of us and is directing our hearts and our minds today as we elect our next expression of our Board of Trustees. I've been so honored to be a part of this powerful team of people that comprised this past year's nominating committee. I want to personally thank Reverend Denise, Christopher Vaughn, and especially I want to thank Francine Kiona for their dedication and hard work over the course of the last year. We have been laying down new tracks and deepening our foundational processes for the nominating committee this year and for years to come. Finally, I just want to say a huge thank you and good luck to this year's slate of candidates. Each of you were vetted through because you have the skills, the passion, and the unity values that we need to work together as a team of the Board of Trustees. Peace and love to my beautiful spiritual ohana, and mahalo to each of you.
Woo-hoo. Amen. Yeah. Aren't you glad it's not snowing out? It was beautiful, though, wasn't it? Okay. I wanted to give you guys an update, and that is that back in the back, they're a little over halfway through with the candidate nomination piece, and so they're making good progress, and we will try to keep you updated as time goes along here. So the last slide that I've got for you is that the Board of Trustees over the last year has spent a huge amount of time working diligently on accountability, and we'll address that a little bit more in just a little bit. So with that, we'll go to the Treasurer's report.
Good afternoon, everyone. You can go. Oh, okay. Yeah. There. The 2015 independent review. I was very disappointed on Friday when I opened email from Mike Nakamoto, our accountant, assigned to complete the 2015 independent review. His email said that he had been sick for the past week and that he believes he expects to finish his draft report by the end of next week. I had earlier been told that he would finish it by this membership meeting, so I was really looking forward to getting that report from him. However, we, the board, are committed to transparency and full disclosure of our finances. Please be assured that the report will be presented as soon as is possible. Based on our current information, that will probably be March Town Hall. And I thank you very much for your patience. With regards to the financial statements, I think that they were included in the packets that you received. But as I reviewed the year-end financials, I found a few questionable entries and numbers that didn't quite add up for me. I've made notes on those numbers, and their categories and my questions in order to investigate and allow for reporting, a deeper investigative reporting at a later time. However, on a more positive note, the annual statements also show wonderful contributions from Unity School, the Wellness Center, the Counseling Center, and the company that does Japanese weddings here on campus, UI Productions. It's listed as Outreach Wedding UI. In addition to this news, I'd like to point out that the Wellness Center showed a 20% growth in their contributions from last year. Yay, Wellness Center. We are all blessed by the prosperity of our partners in ministry. With regards to accounting changes, I've been blessed this year to have been surrounded by very exceptional people. Our finance team is made up of the accounting team, the finance committee, and staff, and they have all done much to contribute towards the process improvements that have been implemented around our finances. First, I'd like to thank Linda Knox, Catherine Burton, and Francine Cayona, who started me with the basics in counting donations. They were my foundation. Then life happened. People left the island, and others found that they no longer could join us. In ensuring that sufficient resources were available to maintain proper checks and balances, we built a team that would be rotated from week to week. So currently serving on the counting team are Rosie Kaiser, Kevin Wallace, Diana Thomas, Bonita Bethards, and Judy Sweet. I thank you all so very much for all the work that you do. I would also like to send a shout out to our finance committee, and they include Bonita Bethards, Jerry Denton, our assistant treasurer, Thomas Gallagher, Michael Hamnet, and Reverend Johanna Kelly, as well as Reverend Denise Shellick. Both Thomas and Reverend Denise are ex officio members, which means by the fact of their positions within the board, they are part of the finance committee committee as well. Any changes that take place around our finances, policies, procedures, and et cetera, are reviewed by the committee for correction and essentially a basic sanity check. This year, we brought check writing back in-house. With the procedures established to safeguard our finances, this capability helps us to ensure that we honor those who provide services to our church with the ability to pay them in a timely manner. In addition, a methodology is being developed for calculating our budget. With the help of staff, Reverend Johanna and Amy Miyamoto, a close look at our monthly expenses was necessary to become very familiar with the amount of money needed to maintain and manage this church. In addition, we've taken steps to determine what kind of routine maintenance is required, such as tree trimming, when maintenance should be executed, how often, and whether or not money will be needed to be set aside in order to make payment when the bills become due. The advantage that we derive from this exercise in detail is that only small adjustments will be needed to be made in our future budgets. Finally, we're looking at bringing the accounting back in-house. That was identified during the town hall meeting recently. We have started to develop a plan that would map out all actions needed to complete this project. Managing the books on site will eliminate much of the double work that had to be created in order to inform the off-site accountant of the information that he needed in order to provide the reports that we needed. In other words, the church administrator and the treasurer were required to send reports to the accountant in order for him to create the reports that we needed. This was a huge lesson learned. A few words about congregational ownership. One of the hallmarks of a mission-centric church is that community takes ownership of its church home. This congregation continues to prove its dedication to our spiritual family through the unceasing ability to step up to the challenges that are presented to us. This community is taking ownership of its spiritual home, and I, for one, am very grateful. I thank you so much, all of you, for your devotion, and I send blessings to all. Thank you.
We have indeed been blessed with the diligence, the love, the dedication, and the competence with which we have had a treasurer that has stepped in, and we are very, very blessed. So thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention to you guys before I have Reverend Denise come up and do the minister's report. Two things. One, we're about 40 minutes behind, but I think we're okay with that because back in the back we're doing okay. And the second thing is that, or the third thing, so the second thing is that all of the committees have gotten charters in, with the exception of the brand new one and the strategic planning committee, which are coming in real soon. And the last thing that I think is extremely important for all of us to realize is that the preschool, Unity School, brings in about 1/4 of our budget. And so we are very blessed to have them. They are a huge blessing, not only from the financial standpoint, but also from taking care of kids and taking care of probably the greatest asset that Unity Church in Hawaii has got. So thank you, thank you, thank you to Unity School. And I do know that you guys know that the security fencing and all of that is being paid for by the school as well. And it's a huge expense that is a gift to the church, and we are very blessed. So with that, Reverend Denise.
It's perfect. So how much time do I have?
Go for it.
No, I don't need 40 minutes. Good. Well, I am so blessed by this board and all of you, and I have so much trust and confidence in this ministry. Yeah. Yeah. And I've been sitting on the school committee each month and watching that transformation as well, and the relationship that has shifted and changed, and it's just so much beauty and good. And so the level of trust when I got here and the level of trust today is phenomenal of where we are and where we've come. So, and as we keep saying, Gandhi keeps saying, you know, become the change we wish to seek in the world, and it never gets old, you know. So each of us are the solution to whatever problems exist. Rather than pointing fingers, you know, it comes back to us. So what do I need to do to support the ministry in moving forward? So the next Q process, this is one of the integral pieces that I get to do with you. And I'm leaving. When I'm leaving, there was already one Q coach, and there'll be 3 additional Q coaches. So you'll have 4 Q coaches on my departure. So the next one I'll do, and my final one, I keep saying, I know, I actually am leaving in June. I promise. So May 2nd, we'll gather. We'll have all of our Q coaches there. So put that down on your calendar. And right now we're doing this series, Braving the Wilderness. So invite you to participate in that way. This is, people ask as congregants, how can I support? You can support by being active and getting, like every time we do a book, Eye of the Storm, Untethered Soul, Braving the Wilderness, it's important to get into the consciousness of that energy. So that's how you contribute, is to be connected and in this consciousness world. Next slide. So we've been working diligently behind the scenes for many, many hours with the board and leadership. And what we've done so far we're just building awareness on what happened the last couple of years. You know, you had a few hiccups, and we're sort of wondering, well, how could that have been? So we're looking at becoming transparent, having openness and honesty, and we've been working doing that, and also building an arena to support integrity and authenticity. So we asked the hard questions. What happened? What behaviors that were not in alignment with our values? And so we identified some of those. And what process or policy needs to be in place in order for us to move forward with our values of who we've come here to be. So that's what we've done, is initiated some policies and put those into place. Next. So we asked the question of what got created, what did we intend to create, and what got in our way. So that's what we've been looking at. And so the next slide is what got created. What got created? And so we're creating, whether we're creating from our Christed self or our human shadow side. It doesn't matter. The universe responds with like mind. So some things got created that we did not intend to create, which was there was some dishonesty, there was distrust, there were losses, there was fear, there was misunderstandings, there was mistrust. So that's sort of what lived in the field. And then we said, well, what did we intend, or what would we want to create together? And that's the next slide that shows our turtle somewhere. Okay, we're giving up on that. There it is, our turtle. So each of you got one of these. We've been doing them quite often on Sundays. Some of you may be very tired of my sweet little turtle. But it's the Hanu, which represents the navigator, the eternal link between man, land, sea, and God. And it's said that the Hanu were the guides for the first voyages to Hawaii. So it's the perfect symbol of holding our values for us. And so what we intended to create was an environment of empathy, of accountability, of connection, of inspiration, of faithfulness, of honesty, of ethics, fairness, love, peace, loyalty, harmony. And then the 8 most valued qualities were, for the board picked, was honesty and love, truth, trust, wisdom, acceptance, integrity, and transformation. So that's where this current board has landed on, and that's their commitment to you, is to hold them accountable for those values. And that's their intention. And of course, they have all taken the Q process. So every board meeting we start with, please have compassion for me when I am being my shadow self. And sometimes our shadow self looks like lack or limitation. It looks like not enough. It looks like sadness. So we speak those out, and then we say, because who I've really come here to be, and right now is to be honest, loving, truthful, trusting, wise, accepting, integrous, and transformative. Yeah. So we have an intention, each of us, to be the Christ. And sometimes the environment is not cultivated enough to allow that growth to happen. So we just want to be more mindful of cultivating a field that wants to look more like the sea turtle. Yes? Yes. So that's our work. So a little bit, we lost our way the last couple of years of not staying true to who we've come here to be. And that's the reality, that there's not bad people, there's not evil at stake. We just sometimes use strategies to get our needs met that are not in alignment with the values we hold. Yes? So that's about accountability, to say, hey, we've agreed to act in this way, or we've agreed to work on these code of ethics and these covenants of membership. And when we act outside those values, we need to be called out. We need to be called out. So we put some policies in place. And so the shadow I wanted to sort of look like here, there was fear and mistrust. The shadow was suspicious. The shadow was not enough. The shadow was disconnected or separate and alone. So you may have felt some of that. And that doesn't make us wrong. It makes us human. So part of that is waking up and say, so what do I need in order to get back into who I've really come here to be? And that's a healthy community that supports us back into a system that will thrive in, right? So we put some policies in place, and we used the model of the disruptive behavior policy that's established by Unity Worldwide Ministries, as Jan mentioned a few moments ago. And some people were affected by that, and for that we regret. But it's necessary for a community to have stop signs. It's necessary for us to know that love does not mean no boundaries. Yeah. So it took sort of months for that to happen, and there's been some very healthy open communication. And the regret from the board is that we didn't deal with some of the things in the moment they happened. It took us a while to sort of come to that. And so the commitment now is to deal with issues as they come up. So we can lovingly say, hey, look, we're out of alignment with what we said we would do. We're off of our cards, or this is our code of ethics, and what you just said or did is not in alignment with that. So I believe we build our organizations by what we value, what we focus on, and what we allow. So it's important for us to stay awake to what's being allowed, as well as what we're focusing on. And so our mission is transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. And transformation comes about by coming back into alignment about who we have really come here to be, and coming from that place. So it always comes back to consciousness of getting back and to know that I am a Christed being, and the accountability is being willing to admit when we have fallen or made a mistake, and be willing to apologize and make amends. So let's see, I think those are all the amazingly wise words I have to say. That was a joke. So we really do want to change the way we see things, and we want to come not from lack, but a consciousness of oneness, not from separateness, but from love, and a consciousness of the Christ. So that is our commitment back there. And then the last slide, let's see if I got these in the right order. Yeah, thank you, is building a culture of peace. And by doing that, we'll be doing some processes. Oh, the rain. Love it. We'll also do some peace and reconciliation process on the bottom, and that's already in progress. We have compassionate connection circles. We have compassionate communication. We're going to do some mediation, group mediation. We'll cultivate more self-awareness through the Q process and through the MVC. So the MVC, Compassionate Communication, or NVCC, as Richard calls it, is every Tuesday. So we're no longer just monthly. We're doing it every Tuesday. So pop in, see what that's about. You can pop in and out. We're trying to change it each week so that it's new and fresh. But we have some beautiful people in there, and they're really shifting and changing who they are and creating a compassionate environment for each of us. So join us on Tuesdays and then the next Q process. And I think that's all I have.
Super. Thank you
Mr.
very
President,
much,
yeah.
Reverend Denise. Briefly, I will say to you that last week, if you were here, you heard a board apology. And actually, if the board can stand one more time for us. The board apologized, and a lot of people said, "What are you apologizing for? We don't understand what's going on." The reason that we were apologizing last week was the fact that over the course of the last few years, we've lost 3 ministers. Last year's annual meeting didn't go real smoothly. There was a lot of stuff that was going on. And there was a lot of issues that were present. The board has diligently but compassionately tried its best to work with hundreds of trustee hours dealing with the issues that were present within this congregation, within the membership. And I think we've done a great job. And I want to just say thank you to all of the board for the persistence with the tenderness, but yet the diligence of making sure that we are trying to pull everything together. And so thank you. All righty. Well, thank you guys very, very much. That brings us to the new business section of the meeting. And what we've got is in the new section, everybody knows that we created an endowment foundation. The endowment foundation has been going. It's a 509A3 as a supporting organization of the supported organization of Unity Church of Hawaii. It's got over $500,000 in it at the present time. And what will continue to happen from year to year is that 4% right now of the money that's in there comes back to the church as an ongoing in perpetuity gift to the church. And it depends on how much that ends up going to, but we are hoping that we will continue to grow that one. This year, the board of directors, make sure I get this right, the board of directors brought on Morgan Stanley. So Gwen Picaro and Michael Laconce wanted to spend just a little bit of time letting you know what the Endowment Foundation is doing and let you guys see who's running that one. So without further ado, Gwen and Michael.
Let us get our notes out for a moment here and be organized. Yeah, great. So thank you all. I'm Gwen Picaro, and this is my associate, Michael Laconce. He'll be introducing our group to you, but I first wanted to just thank you. Thank you to the Board of Directors for the opportunity to oversee the endowment. We take this very seriously. We're a group that has been in existence for more than 35 years, and much of the work we do is with endowments and foundations in our community. At the same time, we bring with us a different look that seems to be a very good fit for Unity, in that we really look at values alignment in the money that we invest as well. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. We recognize that we are one of your last presentations, so we don't want to take too much of your time. But our hope is that we can talk a little bit, give you a little introduction to our group, and then give you a little quick primer on understanding impact investing and what that means and how the money is being invested. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some gifting strategies. So that we're hoping to do in 15 minutes. Is that all right? Yeah. Okay. All right, so with that, I'm going to ask Michael to introduce our group and talk a little bit about who we are and what our name means.
Thank you, Gwen. So as we are the Conscious Wealth Management Group at Morgan Stanley. We were founded over 30 years ago from my partner here, Gwen Picaro. And I'm happy to say I've been with her for more than 20 years. There are two other members of our team, Noelle Brown and Lindsay Mist. So we have 4 advisors on our team. Some of you may have heard of us previously. We were known as the Picaro Group, as again, the team was founded by Gwen. But last year we changed our name to the Conscious Wealth Management Group, and I thought it'd be appropriate to read a definition that we have as part of our group packet. Conscious, aware of and responding to one's surroundings. Awake, having knowledge of something. Aware, mindful, a sense of one's personal or collective identity, including the attitudes, beliefs, and sensitivities held by or considered characteristic of an individual. I think this describes our DNA as a group. We have been working with our clients for many years, and part of our DNA is really to listen closely to what their money means to them, what it means to their family and their future. And last year we did change our name to the Conscious Wealth Management Group, and that has to do with what we're going to speak next about impact investing. But again, the idea of just simply being conscious of what our clients' needs are and being sensitive to that, and then being able to help them through their various needs. So I will turn it over to Gwen. She'll talk a little bit about the impact approach.
So to give you an idea, impact investing may be a terminology that you've not heard before, but I bet a lot of you have heard about socially responsible investing. So I started in the business in the 80s, so that was quite a while ago, and SRI really became into vogue in the 70s to 80s. And at first it really started because of apartheid. I think that was probably the first time that we started hearing about concerns about where money was being invested and how it was being used. And it became a way of sort of excluding areas. In other words, there were either principles or areas of the world that people felt they wanted to vote with their dollars and not invest in those areas. It also extended beyond the 70s into the 80s with the oil industry, where we started seeing groups of people wanting to eliminate investment. We heard it mostly from university endowments as well as religious organizations, where people felt that some of the oil companies were not necessarily things that they wanted to invest in were consistent with their goals. So this continued on, and socially responsible investing morphed into what we call ESG. Has anybody heard of ESG investing? Okay, good. We've got a good student out here. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. And what it looked at was, in terms of the companies that someone would invest in, were they good for the environment? Did they in any way harm the environment or cause to concerns with our planet? Socially, it could be the social fabric of our community. Were they doing things that were not inclusive of their communities? And then governance. Governance really stood for the corporate governance. You know, were they being managed in a way that was inclusive? And this has become very much in vogue. I don't know how many of you had time to read the newspaper this morning before you came to church. But there was a note that we actually, the state of Hawaii, I believe Senator Baker is the one that introduced legislation this morning that any corporate boards should be inclusive and have women on them as well, as the state of California has done. The state of California is looking at, I think, a 50% quota for women on boards, being that the research shows that having more inclusion on boards tends to provide better behavior. It tends to be a more varied way of looking at things. And so we're talking about gender inclusion, we're talking about all types of race and religion, and having that inclusive on a board tends to develop a congregation as your own, where you can come to a consensus that reflects more the world as it is. So governance has become a very big thing. So then we go from ESG to what we call impact investing, because ESG was still sort of taking out the outliers or those that weren't doing the right things and excluding them from portfolios. Now we're at the point of utilizing what we call impact investing. So we're not only looking at keeping out, so to speak, the bad players, but we're now looking closely at those that are trying to either change their behavior or exhibiting good behavior. So impact investing becomes can be much more inclusive. Sometimes the choices of some of the companies might surprise people until we peel back the layer and see that they have changed their behavior and are starting to move in the correct direction. So we actually work with managers who provide screens and overlay and actually look at how these companies score on all of these principles. Now, when we brought this to the church and to the board, and we were looking at being included as your investment advisors, we had to go through a process. We're happy to say we were selected. But then we took a long time of listening and having the board help us understand more about the church. We read your website, and we can look there and see, but they went further, and we tried to identify what the major tenets were of your church and how we could incorporate that into the investments while still getting investment returns. So that's an important thing. And what we came up with was that we were looking, number one, at inclusion, companies that exhibited inclusion, doing the right thing, doing good. We're good with resource management, whether it be environmental, water, financial, whatever it might be. And we were looking at those that promoted peace. So that's kind of a very broad way of looking at it, but it was identified by the board that those were sort of the tenets that we were looking forward to. And with that, we employed the funds that were given to us, that was the endowment, into a strategy that incorporates those values. The important that we have behind us at Morgan Stanley is that as fiduciaries, the board are fiduciaries for your funds. We are also co-fiduciaries. So we not only have a tenet of wanting to listen to our clients, that's very important, we also have to get market returns. And so we are not in any way, we are looking at strategies that have shown the ability to get market returns while employing these tenets. So that is a very, very important underlie of what we have. And we have a couple quick examples of that, which we're going to share, and just a few companies or strategies. We'll be very quick on it, but Michael had one that I think was especially relevant under gun control, of all things.
Yes, one of the investment managers is called Calvert. So I'll read a little piece here on some of the research that they did and the proactive approach that they're taking. So they essentially had approached Kroger, who's a major retailer on the mainland. And Calvert does not own any of the gun manufacturers in their portfolio, but because of their high risk to society and high risk for investors, they did own Kroger, who's the retailer. And although it was gun sales were an insignificant portion of their business, they urged Kroger to take swift action to establish policies that would eliminate the sale of all assault rifles and high-capacity magazines and raise the age of purchase to 21. And in doing so, they were able to convince Kroger to make those changes. And so that's the proactive approach that, and the impact that you as investors can have by having a manager that does that kind of research.
And that's what we call as shareholder activism. A lot of this is done through shareholder activism. And so your managers are voting on behalf of shareholders as yourselves. So it's done at a very high level. It's extremely effective and has been the best way to go. Real quickly, one of the other managers that we're using is looking at climate change They're looking at solutions with clean energy generation and energy efficiency. There are some that are dealing with water scarcity and looking at solutions like water treatment and efficiency. We're looking at resource scarcity and utilization, and that's very often use of recycled products and reusability. We look at financial inclusion because that's important, and that's access to capital and financial services for those that are perhaps not as capable of receiving that. And then they look at improving health, and that's another one of the tenets, which is drug innovation, patient safety, and healthcare coverage. So that just gives you a quick idea of the kinds of things that are being incorporated in. And we, from that, I would like to share that the endowment grows based on your contributions. And we wanted to just take a quick moment to mention, as advisors, some of the things we are seeing other organizations benefit from. You know, we hear that you have a wonderful group here that does your fundraising and is really pressing towards that. But it not only comes from you, it comes from your community at large. And there's something that I want to mention that we're seeing a lot of, and it's called a QCD. Does anybody know what a QCD is? Oh, I have one person. I love that. I should have you come up here. A QCD is a qualified charitable distribution. The reason it's important is as I look out here at the group, there are a few of you that might be at what we called required minimum distribution age, which means that whether we like it or not, our IRAs, we have to start taking money out of them because we're over 70 and a half. There is something that is now allowed, it's been for a couple of years now, and that's called a qualified distribution. There are some of you, potentially, who don't really need to take that full required minimum distribution. It's nice, but maybe it's more than you need. There is a way to give a portion of your required minimum distribution directly to charity as your church would be identified. You may give it directly from your financial institution to the church, and then you don't have to pay taxes on that piece, which is a big saving. Instead of taking all the money, paying your taxes, and having less, let's say you have 60 cents on the dollar, now you give back to Unity. Instead, you give it directly from your IRA to the church. It's a very effective way. You may have friends out there who say, I don't need my required minimum distribution. Why am I taking it? You can say, you know what? I have a place you should put that. You should give it to my church. So think about that. Another one is the stock gifts directly?
Stock gifts. So stock gifts particularly specifically for those stocks that you own in taxable accounts. I heard earlier about some contributions that were made. That's wonderful. And some of you may be making contributions via cash. But making stock gifts is a great way to have impact, to provide a contribution that perhaps you may have invested smaller dollars in the beginning, but with 10 years now in the bull market that has appreciated substantially, you'd be able to donate that stock and basically not have to pay the capital gains on that stock and be able to take advantage of the tax deduction. So it's a good financial way to be able to make a contribution and make an impact.
And that goes for mutual funds too, so mutual funds and stocks. And the last one I want to mention is testamentary gifts. You may have it in your will to give to the church, and if you don't, you probably should. We tell everybody to look at their trust documents and their wills and make sure that they make those gifts known. And another one is beneficiary designations. So some people will give beneficiary designations or change their IRAs so that the church becomes a direct beneficiary, their life insurance policies. So we just wanted to share a few things we're seeing in the community that are effective for organizations. And with that, we thought we'd give just one quick, maybe 2 minutes on the coronavirus, and just because it's so much in the news, and there are a lot of people who are concerned about that, and are at the point where they're thinking that the world may end here in terms of the market. We have seen this before. We have seen a number of different outbreaks before, whether it be Ebola, SARS, aids. We have had many things throughout the 37 years I have been doing this. And one of the biggest things that you should be aware of is that typically the market rebounds very, very quickly after these things. When we look at money as we have been entrusted with, like an endowment, we're not looking at how it will be tomorrow. We're investing for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We have found over time that staying the course is usually the best thing to do. And part of that is that the markets are moving so swiftly these days that if you jump off the train and go on the sideways, and then you wait to try and get back on that train's going to leave the station. And you're going to be chasing it, and you're going to wish you'd gotten on, and then you'll wait longer. You'll go to the next station, wait again, and say, oh my gosh, it's hard to get back on. And you keep doing that. This is what our research tells us. So I will tell you that all of your managers that we are utilizing are watching this closely. They have been adjusting the portfolios. You don't see that. Even the board doesn't see that in that kind of detail. We do. We watch that. They're adjusting to become more defensive. And this too shall pass. So with that, I hope that gives you a little something.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Yes, Sally? Oh, okay.
No, thank you very much. You guys are so
Thank you.
awesome and
Thank you for having us.
helpful. Sally, did you?
I just wanted to say, is this on? Okay. I just wanted to say, as one of the 5 people on the board of directors, when she says the board, she's talking about the board of directors of the Endowment Foundation, which is not the board of trustees of the church. And when she talks about making gifts, she means the church and also the Endowment Foundation, which are 2 separate entities. Okay. And I wanted to point out that the 5 members of the board of directors are Jack Randall, Michael Hamnett, Karen Cunningham, Thomas Gallagher, and myself. And I think you can see from today why we are so thrilled to have Gwen and Michael and the Conscious Wealth Management group as our investment managers. And I want to say a big thank you to Jack Randall, who really went through 42 possible investment managers, narrowed it down to 6, all of whom we interviewed in person here on the campus, and then we chose unanimously this group. So you can feel very confident that we have this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we appreciate your time, and if we can be support in any way, we would direct it back through the administration if there are any other questions.
Super. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it is amazing that when you start looking at some of the socially responsible companies, they end up with better returns than the others, frequently because of the fact that they've got better health, they've got better employees, happier employees, they've got decreased lawsuits and all kinds of other things. And so blessings and blessings and blessings to them. Amen, amen. And divine order, once again, is in play. They just finished the results. We just got this. Everybody was somewhat entertained during the process. So, Reverend Margie, Reverend, oh, sorry. I'm not talking about you. Is Reverend? So Reverend Margie was in the process of bringing the tally out, and Catherine's going to get her. So a couple of things that you guys need to know, and that is that we do have the results of the candidates, and Steve has been able to spend some time to make sure that the numbers for the bylaw changes are in compliance with all of the 75%, et cetera. And so with a rolling thunder of, you want to bring things out and let us know. So Kevin is going to help us out here. And okay. Super. Okay. Actually, Should we do amendments before we do the other, or do we take it in chronological order? Okay. Super. All right, so if Alice Rogers could come up to join me. Okay. So the way things go as we read out the results of here is that the teller reads it first and I read it second in order to be able to have it to where everybody, so if you'll come right down here with me, if you will, please. Oh, because you get to read the results. So, okay. So Alice will first read the name and the number of votes, and then I will read the name followed by the number of votes for the highest moving down to the lowest. So the first is...
Do I go by the number one?
Yes.
Since my glasses are back there in my purse. All right, number one is Thomas Gallagher. Number? 96.
So yeah, the results on here are Thomas Gallagher, 96 votes. The next one is...
Catania, 93.
Debbie Catania, 93.
Ann Valeron, 90.
And Valeron, 90.
Allison Peterson, excuse me. Oh, sorry. No, that's
right.
right. Allison Peterson is number 4.
With 82.
Well, I'm sorry, 82.
Exactly. So, Allison Peterson, 82 votes.
Rosalie Kaiser, Rosie, 79.
Rosie Kaiser, 79 votes.
Richard Hughes, 30.
Richard Hughes, 30.
Okay. Latrice Campbell, 28.
Latrice Mitchell Campbell, 28. So those are the numbers that we have got. So what we need now to do is to have the 5 come up. So Thomas, Debbie.
You're here.
Yeah, I got you. I'm trying to get them in order. Ann Valeron, Allison, and then Rosie. So everybody knows the way that this one gets done. Because there are 3 3-year terms open, 1 2-year term open, and 1 1-year term, what we do is we go by the highest number of votes, and then the people that are in there get to select, yes, you are. You're through for this one. And what we do is we go down the list, and then people get to choose whether they want then a 3-year term, a 2-year term, a 1-year term. Okay, everybody comfortable with that? And if somebody at the beginning says that they want a 2-year term, that one drops off. And so what you may end up with is at the end, you don't have a choice of which one you get, okay? Just so everybody knows. So I'm first with the highest number of votes, and I will take a 3-year term. So second in the list is Debbie Catania. Do you want a 3-year? Debbie Catania takes a 3-year term. Next on the list is Ann Valerone. Ann takes a 3-year term. Next on the list is Allison Peterson. She takes a 2-year term. And next on the list is Rosie Kaiser. You get a 1-year term. So, congratulations to everyone. Congratulations. So, what this means, stand up, everybody. So, what this means is Rosie will be able to do this again next year. Hallelujah, hallelujah. All righty. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Blessings and blessings to all. Thank you. All right. Are we ready for bylaw amendment times? So we thought we were, but the parliamentarian says I have to do it. Okay, so we'll do the. Where do the numbers go? Is that it? Okay. Kevin can do these, or? Okay. Super, yes. So you need to read them first, and then I read them second. So this is bylaw amendments number 1, which is moving the date from December to September.
4, we have 58.
That's the number that are required to be able to pass.
The requirement is 44 to pass, so we have 58. So that's a yes.
So let me do those one more time just so that we've got it. So the total number of votes that were cast was 58. Those that were required to pass is 44. 51 people voted yes, therefore it passes. 7 voted no, so that you've got that down. So is that, you're reading the same thing I am,
And that's
correct?
what I'm reading, that's correct.
So on the amendment number 2, which is making 2 people as alternates for the nominating committee, the votes are?
57 that needed to be cast, and we have 43 yeses and 43 required.
43 required.
57 yes and 0 no's.
So the results on the second amendment to be able to make it to have 2 was unanimous. All 57 of the votes that were cast said, let's do 2. Okay? So it is adopted. Both of those amendments are adopted. So we have got two new amendments. We've got 2 amendments to the bylaws that have passed. Having said that, now what we need to do is what we now need to do is to elect people to the nominating committee for next year. So we will need to select, actually, let me do it. Yeah, we need to select 2 and then get 2 alternates. And so what we may have to do with this one is when we vote, we may have to, because you may not be able to get a total plurality, we may have to do it twice to be able to do, okay? And so, actually we'll have to. So anyway, where are we on this one? Nope, that's it. So nominations are now in order for the nominating committee members. And I saw Wendy. If somebody could get a mic for her, please, if that's possible. I'm so sorry.
I'd like to nominate Juliet Carlson.
Juliet Carlson has been nominated from the floor. Don't need a second.
Would like to nominate my buddy over here, Jim.
Jim Earhart. It was nominated Jim Earhart. Further nominations from the floor? Joanne?
I would like to nominate Mary Paulson.
Mary Paulson has been nominated from the floor. Is somebody writing these down for us someplace that are getting, okay, it's there. Okay.
I'll run the mic.
Okay. Judy?
I would like to nominate Jack Randall.
Jack Randall has been nominated from the floor. Yes, Sally?
I would like to nominate Michael Hamnett.
Michael Hamnett has been nominated from the floor. We have 5 names on the nomination list. Do I hear any others? Seeing none, those are the 5. So nominations are now closed for the nominating committee. So would the nominees like to have a chance to do a speech? Okay, so we do not have ballots for all of these. How about if we have people stand, all of those, so we have to go through, so we get to vote for two, is that correct? So we vote for two different people because there are two people that will be that are on the non-alternate list. So you can vote for two, and I'm just going to ask for honesty of, yes, I guess the way that we do that one, from what I understand from the parliamentarian, is that we look to them, and if they do not to say, no, I do not want to, then they have said that they will take the position. Yeah. Now, people can withdraw at this point if they decide they want to withdraw at this point, but otherwise they don't have to accept. I had it written in the bylaw things that we were going to go through, and you have to, do you accept? Yes, I accept. Therefore, you get. So we don't have to do all of that. Okay? So those are the 5 people that are on the list. So what I would ask is for everybody to be honest. You can vote for 2 people. So I would now like to have people do, and we'll just do them by the way in which they were nominated. Is that okay? Correct. And you have to be a member to be able to do, and the way we've done this in the past is, yes, most certainly. So if all of the candidates that are there will stand up, introduce yourselves, I guess that's a possibility that people may not know who they are. So Michael Hamnett, Mary Paulson, Jim Earhart, Jack Randall, Juliet Carlson was in the back, and she was not feeling well, so she asked to say that she was okay with doing this, but she needed to go home. So I thank all of them for running. So what let's do is, you can vote for 2. Please do it on the honor system, and do it on the honor system of being a member and not a non-member. Okay? So all of those that are in favor, no, we're going to have them stand and then count off and sit down as you've done. So again, 2 votes you get to do. So all in favor of Juliet Carlson, please stand. Oh, just a sec. So I think what I'm hearing, if I'm doing this, I think what I'm hearing is that maybe the easiest thing to do is to look at, no, because if we do the least one, that'll be the one that won't be there, but then we've got to decide which 2 and which 2 are alternates. Correct. So hang with me just a second. I'm making sure that we're doing this. So how do you suggest we do this?
Every month or week I get a surprise challenge, so this is kind of a cool one, and I thank you for it. It's making me go into high gear. Your bylaws don't require a secret ballot for nominating members of the nominating committee. Okay, because you have several people here, it would be a lot easier with a ballot because then you just write down the names. We could split it and say the top 2, well, you could say the top 2 become nominees, the next 2 become alternates. Everyone agrees on that. I think that's been your custom, yes? Okay. No? Well, then in that case, you'd have to agree on that here before we start doing any voting. Okay? So you get that worked out. But the proper procedure when you do a rising vote and you do a counted vote is you vote on the first one. Does the first one have a majority vote? If so, they're stuck, or rather, they're elected. And you vote on the second one. And so if your candidates are numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, you would say no on number 1 because you really want to do it on 2, 3, 4, 5. That sounds convoluted. It's been around for almost 200 years, but that's another way to do it. So it's really, as a chair, my question would be, what do you want to do to most accurately determine the outcome of the vote, what your membership wants to do? I mean, that's just giving good instructions.
Well, the way that we've done this one in the past is we voted, when we've got them, we vote for, people can stand up for 2 people. We add up the total number, and then those 2 top ones get the 2 positions. And then we, of the 3 that are left, we have a runoff for which 2 of those 3 end up being alternates.
So the procedural correct way to do that, make sure that make sure the membership concurs with it, and make sure when you vote on those 2 top, right, that they also have a majority vote, a majority of what's cast. That would be the critical thing that could affect the validity of it tomorrow. So make sure they agree on, voting on the top 2, provided they have a majority. And then we go on with the runoff. So majority is how many people are here, how many vote, more than half.
So did everybody follow that? So a majority vote means that more than half of the people voting are voting for the top 2 people. And if we meet that, then we're covered. If it doesn't meet that, we may have to go through one, and then one alternate, and then one alternate to be able to get it done. So we'll see how that one goes. So all of those in favor of Juliet Carlson, again, yes, ma'am. Okay, that's extra. His comment was we're going to know when we vote, but should we have all of members stand? But you may not vote, so that makes it a mess. Okay, so we'll do it the way that we were initially, if that's what we're hearing, right? So all in favor, you can vote for 2 people, and only members can vote, number 2, and we're doing a trust that you're a member and that you're voting for 2. Okay? It is a risk, but we'll go from there. So, nominating committee are the people that find people to run for the board next year and vet them through the process, looking at all of the criteria. Okay? So we're electing 4 of the 5 people, but you're going to vote for 2 up front. Okay? All in favor of Juliet Carlson, please stand. And now we will, actually, we can count off. So are you guys standing? Okay, so if we'll just count off and sit down.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
16 are voting for Julie. Oh, I should not vote because I'm president, and so I should sustain unless it comes to a tie. So Jim Earhart, all in favor, stand. And then we'll count off.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7. All in favor for Jack Randall, stand. Debbie?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Did you? 5. Okay. 6. Mike?
7, 8,
Howard?
9,
Judy?
11, 12,
14, 15, and then Miles, 16, Melody, 17,
25, 26.
actually we got 2 26s, so we're at 28. Okay, 28 voted for Jack. Mary Paulson, stand please and count off. We'll start with this side, maybe it'll be less confusing.
1, 2, 3,
Jack? Miles? 10, 11, 11, 12, are you voting, Brian? No, 11. 12 for Maureen. Michael? 22. So for Michael Hamnet, please stand. Miles, 6. 10. Okay, now doing that, can we do 28 and 22? Right. Right. Okay, so we do have the high 2. So we've got Juliet Carlson. Juliet Carlson is 16. Yeah, Juliet Carlson, 16. Jim Earhart, 7. Jack Randall, 28. Mary Paulson, 22. Michael Hamnet, 10. So what we will do now is we've got Jack and Mary already on, so they are your primaries. Now what we need to do is take those 2 names off. If we could take those 2 names off. Oh, whoever's that's over there. I apologize. I thought you were doing that. So if you can take those 2 names off for us, please. And now what we will do is vote for 2 again. So you can vote again for 2 people. So all in favor of Juliet Carlson, if we'll take those 2 numbers off, all of the numbers off. Okay, all in favor. Oh my gosh, you guys jumped up quick. So let's go. Debbie?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
12, 13, 15, 16, 17 for Sean. 27, 28. 28 for Juliet. Jim Earhart. Everybody stand that wants to vote for Jim. Yeah. 8, 9. Melody, 10. 11. And then Michael Hamnet.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Mary? 11. Oops, I'm sorry. We're 11 here, so 12 for Jack. 16 and 17 for Miles. And was there a hand? Was Maureen standing, or was that not? And did we get you, Maureen? Okay, so we're 17, right? 18. So 29. Okay. So there you've got your results of the primaries. The primaries being Jack Randall and Mary Paulson, with the alternates being Juliet and Michael Hamnet. What are you doing? Okay, sorry. We got to put the numbers back up. We have to have the numbers back on the board. So the problem that exists is nobody got a majority. So.
Yes. Okay, so if you add 28, 11, and 29, you get 68, right? You take 68, that means people voting twice. You divide 68 by 2, you get 34. Majority is more than half, which means you need more. Oh, please make sure I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. Okay. I got 28 and 29 is 57, and 11 is 68, right? Am I right? The square root of that is 8.2, but that's not going to help. We need okay. We need more than majority means more than half. So I got 28, 11, and 29, right? That's 68. Half of that is 34. Means the successful candidates need to get at least more than 34, 35. So the normal process was we would re-vote.
All right. Jim? Jim can withdraw his name, and if Jim withdraws his name, he was just telling me this isn't military service. You can withdraw. So if Jim withdraws his name, then we're done. Okay. So now we have the 2 and the 2 alternates. By acclamation, when he withdraws, then you've got the 2 people that you've got for alternates, and so, but that's done by acclamation. Okay, so let's see, where are we? We've got that piece done. So Ralph, you will make those minutes known as to where we are. So at this point, anything that needs to be discussed, seeing none, I am ready to entertain a vote for. Motion to adjourn? I'm sorry? Oh. Yeah, we have got a motion to adjourn, and oops, I'm sorry. We gotta do one thing before we do that, though, and that is we adjourn at this point. And so what we now do is we close with closing prayer. All in. Yes, that is part of what we're doing here. So, can we hold the motion to adjourn until after we are prayed out by Reverend Gio? Okay, so I would like to ask Reverend Gio to come up and give us a prayer, and I think maybe.
Just a minute, Brother Gio. The Right Irreverend Gio Downer.
Thank you. You are quite the camel.
My brother in holy mischief and sacred shenanigans has concluded his service at Unity Windward today. And Thursday, is this still true? Thursday, flying to Grapevine, Texas, where he begins service the next day as the minister at Unity of Grapevine, Texas. We've been through the wars and the playtimes and the nonsense and the joys together, and I grieve your departure personally, and I'm joyful for that journey that is yours to come, and I bless the community that's welcoming you. And the rest of us will look out for the community that is saying goodbye.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we have a little memento, Reverend Johanna, pardon me for walking in front. We have a wee gift. Shall we bless our brother? Would you raise your hands with me?
Oh my goodness.
That is so Gio. Yeah. So, Gio, I'm registering him to start a new 12-step group in Keynote Garble.
That is glorious.
Gio has taken years to learn that white space has value in anything visual, and so we wanted to commemorate that we will miss the insanity of his creative spirit and the joyful exuberance of his light. So would you raise your hands with me as we bless our brother, and if you'll repeat after me. Beloved Gio. We send you forth on this journey. Knowing you are following the call of Spirit. And life unfolds with joy and delight. Hallelujah, Geo! And so it is. Wrapped by,
It is beautimously wrapped.
by Kathy.
So if I can, one more time, ask for an adjournment of the meeting and a second. Motion to adjourn is done by Jan, seconded by Howard. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right, ayes have it, and now we're adjourned. And so, Gio, will you pray us out?
I would be delighted. Thank you, beloved one. Thank you for entertaining a motion to adjourn. Before I begin you in prayer, I'd like to ask, aren't business meetings just heaven on earth? Thank you. Wait a minute. I am grateful. So before we stop and close our eyes and bow our heads, I'm going to ask you to look around this room and observe, examine, view the holy expression of life and love that is before you, and for that matter, the holy expression of life and love that is within you. To open your hearts and your hands and your minds to the presence of God. To open your life to know that indeed you are here on a holy purpose. And that holy purpose shows up in such a wondrous variety of ways. I hope that you're answering that call. I am incredibly blessed to know that in this next week I'll be going somewhere I'm called to. And I trust that each of you in this community will move as individuals to move this community into healing and wholeness, to a higher expression of what has been. And I'd also like to ask that you acknowledge you for whatever contribution you have made, whatever that might be. Whether it's just simply praying, holding consciousness, or that you've been in action for healing in this community. I am grateful that there is indeed the presence of God in every single one of you. You got to be dedicated to stick around on a Sunday afternoon in the midst of all this noise at 3 in the afternoon. So by the way, you may be wondering, when's the prayer start? Yes, indeed. That is not a second sermon. I texted Reverend Margie, I'd really rather do a life of prayer than do a closing prayer. So I'm actually not going to close you in prayer. I'd like to open you in prayer that much more. Let's live a life of prayer. Let's go forth knowing that the truth of you in divine expression and in wonder is living in you and as you. And let's know that this community is embraced by your love, by your passion, by your compassion, and by the truth of God living and moving and breathing as you, as the Christ. It is. We let it be. Amen. And I apologize to those of you who didn't get a chance to bow your heads and close your eyes.
So if people could stay right where they are, we will...
Sing ourselves out. Sing ourselves out. So I'd like for everyone to make a noise much louder than the one you hear out there. We are one. We are one. I am you. You are me. We are one. this unity, we will live in harmony, and peace will come.